but gay and transgendered individuals are not covered under any of the federal guidelines.
Do you expect resistance on religious grounds?
I trust that there are going to be a number of religious institutions that would be very supportive.
Well, yeah.
But there may be certainly those who, I find it hard to believe that anyone can stand up and say, hey, I ought to be able to discriminate, but it happens every day. And so I fully expect that there will be those who are positive.
Mayor, will any members...
It is not the most important element in my agenda going forward, and I hope I made that clear. The most important element in my agenda going forward is on greening Houston and on the issue of homelessness. But this is a policy initiative that we hope to knock out and get on down the road pretty quickly.
Mayor, you don't think there's going to be a fight among city council members because you're forcing them to take a stand on a particular issue that they may not want to clearly be an open voice on? You don't foresee a fight amongst the city council members that will be on this ordinance?
Well, council members are elected to take positions on issues, and almost to a person, council members have publicly committed to the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community to support appropriate non-discrimination language if it comes before them. I mean, almost every member of the existing city council has been screened and endorsed by the Houston Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus, as well as a number of other gay organizations, and every one of them has said they don't believe in discrimination and they believe that a local ordinance is appropriate. Now, the details of the ordinance are always something that we can work through. I'm excited that I have a couple of council members who are already eager to move it forward, and we're not, as I said, we'll have plenty of time to debate and work through the issues.
Mayor, would this apply to, we mentioned retail and service-oriented businesses, would this apply to, say, the Arizona case of a photographer who chooses not to photograph a gay or lesbian wedding? How would that affect?
First, well, if you advertise, if you have a brick and mortar location and you offer your services to anyone who chooses to come in, yes, it would, just as the federal public accommodations statutes do. If you maybe you operate on off of a website and by referral and so forth, we're going to track the federal standards.
It sounds like there could be a lot of confusion among business owners on that.
I don't think there would be a lot of confusion. If you offer a public service in a facility to which the public is invited, you can't discriminate.
Mayor, what members of the commission be compensated?
No.
for work? Okay, not even the head of the commission?
No.
And at this time, are you ready to release those names?
No, because while I am going to propose that it is a 7-person commission, and I'm going to propose that, that these will be my appointees with council confirmation, as is common with our commissions, the number could, the number could grow or shrink. I have had conversations with well-known Houston business person, Jackie Martin, who has indicated that if I were to ask her to chair the commission, and if the commission goes forward as proposed, that she would be willing to take that duty.
So if I understood you or heard you correctly earlier, you said that they would go into municipal court if reported, investigated.
Right. There's be a whole lot of steps before
Right.
that. Yeah.
So then we're talking a misdemeanor, perhaps,
Correct.
or discrimination?
Correct.
I mean, does that really have any teeth in it? And this a misdemeanor fine could be a couple $100s. I mean, how is that going to change attitudes and practices? I guess what I'm asking you, when the sanctions would not be that tough.
Well, if I follow your line of argument, then folks shouldn't be worried about this ordinance because it's no big deal. I think it is a big deal to set a community standard and to say we won't discriminate, and to provide an avenue to address existing charges of discrimination, and hopefully to be able to resolve them, mediate them without going to a court process. But if someone ultimately is cited and does have to end up in, or is cited, ends up in municipal court and has to pay a fine, I do think that sends a huge message, even if it's not an expensive fine.
So,
Can you
Mayor,
walk us through
according
just
to your
how
legal-
one of these would work? Who would do the investigation?
Okay, no, because I haven't finished the ordinance yet. Sorry about that.
Mayor, on your legacy.
But okay, I can tell you some of it, and that is that I already have the executive order for city employment, and there is already a well-trodden path. If someone accuses someone else of discrimination in city employment, it goes to the Office of Inspector General. If someone accuses someone of discriminating on a city contract, goes to the Inspector General. None of that will change. What we're adding is housing and public accommodations, and we will use the Office of Inspector General as the investigatory arm for the Human Rights Commission.
And so then from there, they have the option to go in front of the Human Rights Commission to mediate or be cited? How would that work?
Well, what we envision is that folks can come and, just like, people come to city council every Tuesday afternoon, and a number of you covered that, an opportunity where people can come and raise an issue, but nothing moves forward without a formal complaint being signed. Someone's going to have to put their name down and swear to the facts that they have been discriminated against. The Human Relations Commission will be a venue to take that information, but until it is reduced to a formal sworn complaint, at which point it will go to the Office of Inspector General for a confidential investigation, no action is going to be taken. The Inspector General would certainly be empowered to do an investigation, and I would hope that, for the most part, that these things are misunderstandings that get resolved at that level, and that what the Inspector General does is come back with a report of, we had these complaints, we did these investigations, these were solved through mediation or negotiation between the parties. These are cases that we think may rise to the level of discrimination. These cases we think are unsubstantiated, and make a regular report to the commission. And they would do that on a routine basis.
Mayor, based on your
I talked to a
legacy.
couple of business people about this when I first heard about this, and one of them used the term star chamber, that they felt like they'd be dragged in front of a bunch of people who,
Right now, the only place that someone who feels that they have suffered discrimination in the city of Houston can go is to the media. This provides a formal, controlled, thoughtful audience to formally investigate and resolve. There is the issue. There is no appropriate venue today.
And how concerned are you about potential backlog? Because, because members of the
Backlash?
media. Backlash, but also backlog
backlog.
of complaints. Because as you indicated, members of the media often get these phone calls. It can turn into a he said, she said.
Right.
You will
Which
have
is
to-
which is
it
why
can take
someone
years.
which is why someone would have to bring a formal complaint. It's not designed. It would never. It would be foolish to design a system where people could just come and vent week after week. You come, you raise your issue, you file a formal complaint, and you're in the investigation loop until that investigation reaches its conclusion. I don't know how to judge. It's interesting. There are lots of folks who say, well, we don't have this kind of problem, so what's the point? And then you're raising the issue of, well, there's probably going to be a big backlog with potentially of all the folks who've been discriminated against. I don't know. That's what we're going to have to determine as we go forward. I suspect that there'll be a lot of folks who will want to come forward and say, this happened to me, and as you know, anytime there's a lot of attention paid to a certain area, folks come forward and say, well, yeah, I understand because this happened to me. Well, it has to have happened, it's not something that happened 5 years ago or 3 years ago. It is, once we put the commission and the ordinance in place, it is a go-forward program.
Mayor, why should the city